So that's another one that we started because I had any number of friends in my PhD program who were like, well, does data need cleaned? Do programs need written? And I was like, well, yeah, all that stuff probably needs to happen, but I don't know of like a clearinghouse for people putting project uh, leaders in touch with people who want to help out. So yeah, we started that one as well, and it's basically a place for people to post anything from ideas to finished product that they want to showcase to sharing resources on funding. There's a lot of grants out there right now for this. To even political organizing is something else that I wanted to allow in there. Not political sniping at one another, but like if someone has a petition or a letter drive or something, well, probably not a letter drive, but a phone drive or an email drive that they want to post, that's an appropriate place for that as well.
That's great. And can you say more about how you got this role?
Yeah, so I have a lung disease and no small amount of anxiety. So those things positioned me to be looking at this in a worried way fairly early. I was just looking through some group chat history yesterday to kind of try to see just how my discussion with my friends had changed over time. And I found that, yeah, on like the 21st of January, I had pointed them to this subreddit, and we had been discussing it, I think, a few days even before that. And so I was going to this community for a few days, and it had really good information quality, but I started to see it growing, and it was obvious that they needed help. So I just reached out to the people at the time, and asked if I could help. And back then there was almost no one willing to do that, or there were very few people on the moderation team. So that's how I got involved. They were happy to have some extra help.
Yeah. And then what do you think you're doing particularly well? Or I guess, I mean, everything you're saying is giving me a lot of hope in a time of a lot of uncertainty and kind of crisis. The internet can be very chaotic, and it sounds like you guys are working really hard to make it helpful.
Yeah.
So what are you most proud of related to all this?
Yeah, and maybe not even me personally, but like the thing that gives me hope, like as in like I have a swelling in my chest whenever I see it, is just the efforts of like everyone. When I see that someone has released a printing a face mask pattern, and that people are sewing them at home and like turning them into their local hospital, that's like amazing to me. Like just that that kind of spirit that we're told was the case during World War II, where everybody knew it was important, everybody knew they had to do what they could. When I see evidence of that, even something like a large company doing something, which donating some money, even that, maybe a cynical version of me a few months ago would have been like, oh, they're just doing that to. But no, now I almost get goosebumps when I see people who when I see everyone chipping in. That's really inspiring to me.
That is also really inspiring to me. I know you just gave the examples of making face masks. Is there anything else that you've thought was like remarkably amazing that
Yeah,
you've been privy to?
sure. Yeah, I mean, um, there's a lot of 3D printing stuff over on COVID projects. Like that's something I know nothing about in my day-to-day life, but I've seen people, they're sharing CAD files with each other. And then some people have the 3D printers and they're printing off, valves and like N95 type masks somehow. Like I don't know how you do a plastic mask, but they're doing something. And the visors, especially to that are part of the PPE, personal protective equipment that healthcare workers are using. I know they're printing off a lot of those. I've also seen just a lot of interesting projects. I saw one the other day which was like meant to put uh, elderly people who were trying to shelter in place in touch with people who might be able to like go get groceries for them and then just leave them on their porch. So these networks of of facilitating local cooperation. Some people have built websites around that, and then yeah, there are just so many projects that people are working on, and that's kind of awesome to see.
That is awesome to see. Thank you so much for sharing all those examples.